everybody, I'm Jeff with Bucket List Guys. We are here today to do a DIY tablet holder or iPad holder for your DJI Mavic or your DJI Spark. They have a very similar controller, as you can see. The displays are about the only thing that's different on these two things. But this thing is a cool holder for your tablet, and you can make it to any size you really want to. And very convenient, very sturdy, so let's get to it. Okay, first off, we are going to be showing you all the products needed to do this job. We're going to be starting off with a piece of ABS plastic that I purchased at a hardware store. I've cut it down already, obviously, but I cut it down to the basic length of my phone to where my phone can fit on it. In this project, I'm going to be using this as a demonstration for your tablet because I don't have one with me today. So as long as the tablet fits long ways on the plastic, and I got at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches on both sides of the tablet, I am completely good. So this is more than enough plastic for me to use for this job. Second, we're going to be going into the flared screw, the flush mount screw, 1 inch, 10/32, and those screws are going to be what mounts your bracket to your cell phone holder that's going to hold this whole thing together. So you're going to use washers to mount on the back side of it, and you're going to use spacers to space the two pieces of plastic from each other. Now if you don't have spacers, you can also just purchase 2 extra nuts so that you have 4 nuts, and you can just space it with nuts and then put the piece of plastic and then the nuts back on. So that will actually take up the space for what we're trying to do. The last product needed for this is Velcro. Velcro is one of the most important parts of this because it's what makes it nice and it's what makes everything stay together. So as long as you have enough to go around your tablet, whatever size it is, it doesn't matter if it's 10 inch, as long as I can get a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch on both sides when it's wrapped around, that's pretty much all we're going to need. I always like to cut more, but on this job I just cut these to size because I already have made this before. So as long as I can cover the ground all the way across there on the back side of my tablet, and I can cover the 2 sides of my cell phone and the centerpiece of my cell phone, we have plenty enough Velcro for this job. The tools needed for this job obviously is going to be a cutting board because I don't want to cut my tabletop. We're going to be using a straight edge, anything you can use for a straight edge because that's all you're really using it for. A pair of pliers, doesn't matter. Look, these are just rusty junk pliers that I found in my cabinet. So they're just to break the plastic once you've scarred it with the razor knife, which you're going to be using. Also, a 3/8 wrench to tighten the nut on the screw, a Phillips screwdriver to hold the screw, marker, a drill, just a small drill with a drill bit that's one size larger than your screw so that the screws can slide through nice, and a drill bit that is as big as the flush mount part of your screw. The last part is the torches. You can use a very small torch like this that puts out a very small flame, or you can do a big one. Obviously you're going to take a little more time melting things with this one, and I've found that in taking a long time with heating up plastic, it starts to bubble faster, so you have to really move it fast when you're heating it up. But this, I just get right to it. So let's start out with how this is made. The first step to doing this project is taking the piece of ABS and you're going to flip it over and you're going to draw your cell phone. So you can see as I've already drawn mine on here, I just was kind of going ahead of the project. And I've also marked a line 5 inches and 5 inches over here and connected the line with my razor knife. I went ahead and just scarred it, and then I'm going to actually take this just as a straight edge, and I'm just going to mark the straight edge that I need to cut. Now you can use your straight edge, or if you're good enough, you can just use your knife and just cut it straight. And then you do it one more time, And then I've already done that twice to that line. You just take your pliers and you just bend it and it breaks. And voila, that easy. So then this piece still has my cell phone in it. So I'm gonna take the same thing, being careful with the way I do this so I don't take out my fingers. And approximate line is close enough, because in this job, you're just trying to get approximate size of your cell phone. So that's that part, and then we'll just go ahead and make it right there, because it can still squeeze that much. So again, we'll take the pliers and just bend it, and bam. Now we got our two pieces needed. Now I'm also going to take this piece and cut it down a little bit, because the 7-inch screen is only 5 inches long, and with that, this is way too much area. So I'm going to basically take and give enough room for this to be able to curl all the way around, so I can see, you know, so we can basically kind of take and roll it, and we're going to need about that much on both sides. So I'm just going to wing it and mark right about there with my line. We can actually just take this and flip it over. So here with our line. Okay. So you can see that there's absolutely no science to this. It's as easy and as dumb as it comes. Again, breaking plastic. Now that we got our two pieces, I'm going to take these outside and I'm going to file them on the concrete real quick, because the concrete is gritty and I need these edges rounded. So I'm going to take and smoothing out these sides and all that stuff outside the concrete. So I'll be back in a second. The next step after cutting these pieces, which is the one for your cell phone and the one to hold your tablet, is to melt this tablet piece to fit around your tablet loosely. The way I do that is I melt here and I do my first bend. I let it cool a little bit and then I go lower and I do another bend. So that will give me a more solid crease to where it's not so wobbly along that edge. So I'll just take my torch, and I know it doesn't look like I'm hitting that spot, but you can see the plastic already getting warm really fast. Now if I let it go too long, you can see it'll start doing it. So you can see that I'm playing it now. Now the plastic is ready for me to be able to form. Now if you touch it, it can be super duper hot. But I try to take a straight edge and kind of get that roll to where I get that edge flat. And as it cools down, you can start manipulating it to go flat all the way across. So you're going to get that first edge going. Okay, so once that edge is going pretty well right there, we're going to now, it's starting to harden up again. We're going to now heat it up again. And that heat is actually going to kind of make this bend fall out of place a little bit. But it's still going to hold its form somewhat. So what I want to do here is kind of do a fold around of the tablet. But I want to give a gap, and I'm not going to melt, it's not going to melt the tablet, but I want to give a gap to where I have room for the Velcro. So I'm going to basically just kind of let it dry like that. And it's looking really nice and round. I just want to make sure that my tablet will fit in there and that I can get enough room around the tablet to get the Velcro and it's not too tight. Now you can melt it and heat it up and flare this out again once everything is done. But right now, you're just gonna get an approximate size of where this should be. So that side is pretty much done. That easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this other side. Now, granted, stuff is pretty warm, so don't burn yourselves. I'm just gonna heat this side again, and that side. And you see me moving it a lot. That's because if you hold it in one spot, it's just gonna create a bubble and it's gonna melt and it's gonna look ugly. So to keep the product looking nice, where you don't melt that texture away, you heat it fast so that you can see, and now I can move it and I'm not gonna damage the texture on the outside, so I still get that pretty look. And that actual, it kind of looks a little like you bought it or something, you know? So it's super duper hot. I like to use flat edges just to keep that edge flat so it flattens it out, see? So then now I'm gonna just go ahead and do the same thing I did. Heat next to it. I've been working with this kind of plastic for a long time due to building cop cars for a living. And we constantly have to modify things and manipulate things, but as you can see, I'm making this to kind of fit around this tablet. So that it almost hits right there. Now, you can continue rolling it all the way around if you have something to press on. This is a bad screen, so I don't really care if I break it. It's just a demo screen, so I can show you guys how the flare is made. So now that you can see, the screen is actually tight in there. So I don't want it tight right now. And I kind of did too much on this side than that side, which I could fix, but this is, again, just a video to show you guys how this thing's made. Not that it has to be perfect. So I'm gonna heat this side a little bit. I'm gonna heat this side a little bit. See, it can burn you. And I'm just gonna flare these out just a hair. Just so that when this slides in, it's not super tight, because once the Velcro goes in, it's gonna take up a little bit of room. So once I have these products made, you're pretty much done almost, besides 2 drill holes. So I take my controller and I slide this into position, and I get about a roundabout spot where I want my tablet to come off. Now I could push it up here and it'd be in the way of my joysticks, but no, I want my screen below right there. So I might even just take it and just make it flush with the top of the cell phone plastic. So what I'm gonna do then is anywhere on this, I'm not precise on it, because again, this is just a how-to video. I'm just gonna mark bing and bang. I don't care. Okay, so then holding these 2 products together, I'm gonna go ahead and drill through. Obviously just to my cutting board. Don't want to drill to the table. Okay, so now that we have those holes exactly where we need them, we have to do one other step, and that is taking this flare and putting a flare on this hole where your tablet's going to be, because you don't want the screw head popping up and hitting the back of your tablet or possibly cracking a screen of some kind. So I just lightly just turn that, and not too much though, because you don't want to just rip through the plastic, especially with a sharp blade. It'll really go fast. So as you can see, I'm just putting a flare on the holes themselves. You don't even have to turn the drill, to be honest. You can just turn it with your hand if it's a sharp enough blade. And see what that does is once my screw is in, now the screws are flush with the bottom. So now all I have to do is put my Velcro in here once I screw this plate to this plate. So I'm going to take my shortest pieces, this one, and I'm just going to cut a piece for the top, a piece for the side, and another piece for the side. But obviously on this job I don't have enough, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do the two sides. You can put another piece on top just for extra cushioning on the bottom of your remote, but I'm just going to take this piece and wrap it around there. Peel the sticky off on this one, and take and peel, stick it right here. So now this will slide in to your controller, and your controller will hold it nice and tight. Okay, so pull it out. It's crazy how good that works, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the spacers on, one and one, and then I'm gonna take my cell phone holder and I'm gonna put that on, put a nut, or sorry, 2 washers, and then the nuts. Okay. I'm gonna take my wrench, my driver, and tighten them up. Super easy. Boom, done. And just remember, this doesn't have to be this small screen. This can fit any size screen you guys want to do. So after that's done, you're 99% done. You literally only have to put on the Velcro. The Velcro, I can say, is kind of tricky, but what I'll do is I will kind of give a flare over the edge and kind of get it halfway in between to where I know I'm going to have enough. And I just work all the way from the thing, all the way around the curve, and I get that flare up. Now I'm going to knock that down with a fresh razor knife as soon as I'm done and go along that edge and cut it flush with that edge. So that one is in. I'll take my next one. I'm going to lay it next to it. Flare it over just like I wanted. Flare it over just like I needed. Yep. And then my last piece is going to flare over the end as well. I don't really care if these things kind of go to the side a little bit. I mean, nobody's really going to be looking at this. So once I've got that done, now I can take and I can finalize those edges to be flawless. And not but least, there you got it, folks. A tablet holder that will not let your tablet fall. Okay, so easy, quick, awesome, bucket list, guys. Share, subscribe, and like. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.